Hello, hello, hello. Welcome to our match 18 review of Quetta Gladiators versus Islamabad United, and what a match that was yesterday. And with joining me today is our legendary pundit, cricketer, actor, and whatever else he might think he is, or we might think he is. Armaan Karmani, how are you, Armaan?
I'm good. It's good to be back. It's good to see that Pakistan Super League is back on. It's been a little while. I haven't been on the last couple of shows, but it's been really good to see that the gang is back and we put it back together. So let's crack on.
Armana, before we start, I've got to say we have really been missing you over the last two shows. Your expert analysis of Babar Azam we missed, and nobody can portray Babar Azam's faults as well as you can.
No, it's not false. Babar Azam is a legend. He just, unfortunately, for me, bats at a strike rate in T20s that isn't helpful for his team. And we've seen a lot of these sort of occasions now, and there's a pattern developing. And he just has to improve. He's one of the best players of in Pakistan's history as a batsman of this generation. He's going to go from strength to strength. लेकिन अगर मैच नहीं जीतेंगे तो फायदा क्या है सब चीजों का मैं सिर्फ इस तरीके से देखता हूँ.
Yeah, I think. Well, let's start with the match that we're focusing on. It was a bit of a weird one. A team batted reasonably well but bowled out, and then another team coming in and just finishing it off very quickly. I'm going to put my hand up. I predicted that Quetta Gladiators would win, and I was really disappointed that that wasn't the case. And for me, there was two standout performances from the same team, and obviously you know what I'm going to say. It's Usman Khawaja and Munro, who chased down a score so easily. I think the commentator was saying that they'd scored 18 boundaries and 6 maximums in comparison to Quetta Gladiators, who scored a lot less. So Arman, being a batsman yourself, 133 was still not a bad score to defend.
No, I mean, I think that the wickets have changed from Pakistan to sort of Abu Dhabi. The players, I feel, haven't necessarily adjusted. Maybe there's a little bit of lethargy going on. You know, they've been locked up, there's been quarantine, there are no live crowds. तो थोड़ा सा मेरे ख्याल से अभी टूर्नामेंट इस वक्त पे थोड़ा सा एक फ्लैट हो गया है तो उस हिसाब से I can see there are soft dismissals. Quetta के पूरी innings when they kept losing wickets at the wrong time, even when they started getting a batsman that was scoring runs, wickets बार-बार गिर रही थी. To be honest with you, Quetta didn't really ever get momentum. It's been disappointing. I don't know what's going on with Quetta. In my opinion, they've got the best captain. In my opinion, they've got a squad that's definitely capable of finishing in the top 4. But they're just not performing. Or yeah, I think they're bottom of the league right now. They were disappointing in the first half of the PSL as well. And unfortunately, it just looks as if they just quite haven't found their batting chops, as we might want to say. And I just think, in T20 133, I know that you said that they put on a reasonable total. I just don't think in any Asian conditions 133 is enough, especially in T20.
Yeah, fair enough. Coming back to the Quetta Gladiators innings, on paper they had some brilliant batsmen. Faf du Plessis, Sarfraz Ahmed, Azam Khan, who's broken into the Pakistan side, Andre Russell even. Yeah, you're right. It was a little disappointing, but one of the standout performances within that innings was Jake Weatherald, who literally gave them a little hope, I guess. Of getting to a reasonable total. I was a little disappointed with the Pakistani contingent, Sarfraz Ahmed and Azam Khan and Mohammad Nawaz even. They didn't really click. I think between them they scored about 30 runs or something. Heavily reliant on the overseas to score, in my opinion. But then Islamabad United, their overseas did that. So I think overall, Quetta haven't got a bad side. It's just they're not clicking, are they, Arman?
Yeah, absolutely. Just to further what I said before and what you're saying over there, they just kept losing wickets, even though Weatherall scored is 43. It never seemed as if they were going to threaten to get up to that 180 or 200. paper पे तो बहुत सारी टीमें अच्छी होती हैं, but ultimately I think Quetta need to get out of paper and get back onto the ground because paper पे ये tournament में they cannot get to the PSL finals and it's been pretty disappointing. I really like Quetta. I think they've got a talented team. I think they've got the best captain. I really hope that we see an improvement from them, but unfortunately, it's just not going their way right now.
Well, credit to Islamabad as well. Their bowling performance was really good, except for I think Shadab and Mohammad Musa who got hit for about 8 or 9 and over. Hassan Ali bowled really well. Akif Javed bowled well. Mohammad Wasim bowled well. So it's not really the fact that Quetta's batsmen didn't perform. There was a lot of good bowling in there as well. I was really impressed with Mohammad Wasim. I think he got like 2 for 12 or something. Someone who's majorly sort of unknown in the game at the moment, and Akif Javed is coming through as well. So yeah, Islamabad United did bowl really well. So let's not take the credit away from their bowlers. And coming on to their batting, not talking about Munro first, but let's start with Usman Khawaja. He's a local Islamabad-born batsman who's moved out to Australia, and he's really wanted to play in Pakistan, but obviously with the conditions playing in UAE. So he's got that connection to Islamabad as a city, as a team. I just feel when they were out there today, they looked like a really close unit. And a 27 ball 40 with what? 6 fours and 1 6. I think that was. I think it's easy to forget his part in the Islamabad United chase because of Munro hitting a 36-90. But yeah, Usman Khawaja, in my opinion, played a really key role in Munro doing that.
I think that it's quite interesting because of the break, because of the postponement, and because of the restart. There's been some squads that have changed, and we're getting to see more international cricketers that have replaced certain other international cricketers. So it's brought some sort of fresh energy back to the PSL for me. It's good that there's getting more exposure in terms of international cricketers. और उस हिसाब से it's very, very nice for me as a Pakistani fan to see people wearing the Islamabad shirt and yet having an Usman Khawaja from Australia there or having a Colin Munro there. So I quite like that, but I know what you're saying, that you know what, that we can't take credit away from their bowling and of course their batting era. यार 135 जब आप chase करते हैं ना, so really, to be very honest with you, you got nothing to lose. You blast. After that, you know, after 3 or 4 overs, the other team's finished, so you can tee off basically. And I think that's basically what happened. They weren't chasing a big total. They were never looking like they were going to be uncomfortable. Once they got going, they could just, you know, hit through the line and just smash it. The other thing that you were just saying about, you know, Islamabad की कोई credit हम नहीं ले सकते, as in नहीं लेना चाहिए उनसे कि उनके bowler ने बहुत अच्छी performance की, and they bowled very, very well. Yeah, to be honest with you, I'm not going to disagree with you, but these names that you're mentioning, they're not like world beaters with the ball, generally speaking. And on those wickets, in the hottest conditions ever, like batsmen ke paas excuse nahi banana chahiye. And I just want to be very, very clear from my point of view. ठीक है ना, कि the bowlers, they're doing a great job, and you know that's there. But really, the disappointing side, and you know, we're watching Why do we watch T20? We watch it for some hitting. We watch it for some runs. And at the moment, I mean, Rashid Khan in the games before, which I didn't get to talk about, is absolutely smashing it with the ball as well. But I just feel Pakistan, the batsmen are struggling. It's not the first time we've seen it. We're relying on the international cricketers to see the big hitting and the runs, and Pakistan just haven't. You know, the Pakistani players across the PSL. It's been very disappointing, and I just want to call a spade a spade. They are bowling sahi kar rahe hain, lekin batting is poor right now.
No, I think you make a good point there, and the point that you made about Islamabad United's bowling not being on paper or not having a reputation where you should be quite scared of them and not be able to play them better than what Quetta did. But if you look at Quetta's senior bowlers, are in my opinion, 3 very inexperienced bowlers. You've got Naseem Shah, you've got Mohammad Hasnain, you've got Khurram Shahzad, even Zahid Mahmood. So except for Mohammad Nawaz, and I'm not really in that lineup. There's nobody else who's really experienced. So yes, you're chasing the bowling quality is good. However, the experience isn't there. Defending 1-3-3, Naseem Shah's never had to do that. Naseem Shah's your key bowler, and that at that age, I think he started off the first over going for 19. So having that sort of start for Islamabad, you're already there, aren't you? Like even Mohammad Hasnain, again, not a very experienced bowler. So I think you do have a good point there that these bowlers, we have this reputation of the Pakistani game having these really sort of dangerous and threatening bowlers. But in yesterday's game, there wasn't any of that. But then you make the point that the Pakistani batsmen are not very good at the moment and they're relying on the international players. And one team's international players didn't really click and the others did. So it's a weird sort of a dynamic at the moment, isn't it?
Yeah, so to be honest with you, like Naseem Shah and Mohammad Hasnain, they really haven't hit top straps, even in the first half of the PSL. I know that they're young talents. I know Hasnain has got some international experience, but the wickets he's bowling on right now, let's be honest, there were Pakistani wickets first, and now it's in Abu Dhabi. I think at international level, at the highest T20 level, I think Quetta are lacking a little bit of a trick. If they're going to use these bowlers, putting pace onto the bat, it's going to come on. They really need to have a lot more wicket-taking potency to be effective. And these are young chaps. They're highly, highly talented. But at the moment, we've got to be honest with ourselves. They're not match winners in T20, and they've struggled all the way through the PSL. So that's my opinion. And then, unfortunately, I don't think the spinners have got much to play with once you're conceding. What did he say, 15 or 18 in the first over? That one of them conceded yesterday, Hasnain, I think. So, yeah, it is what it is.
I think you mentioned the spinners, so Rashid Khan and a few other spinners have been doing really well. But these two teams, they had Shadab Khan, who is sort of struggled for form at the moment, and Zahid Mahmood, but can't really have a go at Zahid Mahmood. When he came onto the ball, the game was more or less over. But do you reckon Quetta more prominently do they really have that spin option? Is he experienced enough to really turn things around for them?
So let's go through them. Tell me, which spin? I mean, Shadab, to be really honest with you, I don't think uski jagah banti hai Pakistan team. I think there are too many people. We've seen the Usman Qaders, we've seen the Zahid Mahmoods, we've got the Mohammad Nawazes, potentially Hafiz can bowl as well. I'm looking ahead to the World Cup. I know he's vice captain, and I know that it's not something I really want to say, but I really can't see where Shadab's place in this team is anymore. He's been injured for a few series for Pakistan as well. I know he's captain for Islamabad. He looks like he's leading the team well. He looks like he's created an atmosphere as leader, which he should be given credit for, where they're playing for themselves. Lekin Shadab, really, is he still a frontline spinner that's going to be very effective against the world's best batting lineups? I'm not convinced, in my opinion. So tell me about Quetta. I mean, tell me their spinning options, and
they've got Zahid Mahmood and Mohammad Nawaz, right? But we come back to that point, like wicket-taking bowlers. If you look at Islamabad United batting lineup, after Colin Munro and Usman Khawaja, we had Shadab Khan, Hussain Talad, Iftihar Ahmed, Asif Ali, and then Mohammad Musa and Rahil Nazir. So potentially, if you got that first wicket, 133 was defendable, because the rest of them aren't really in form and are not consistent with the bat.
Well, I'm agreeing with you. I completely agree with you. That I think that lineup feels a little bit like a pudding. Like once you're through the crusty top layer, which is quite hard to get through, you should be able to get through quite a lot more easily, at least on paper anyways. But the fact of the matter is they had a low total and they didn't get through the top order. And once that happens, I think that in the game of cricket, the psychological and the mental aspect of it, if the bowlers don't have anything to bowl to defend, then really it doesn't matter if you're Shane Warne, you're going to struggle.
Yeah, I guess you have a good point there, and I think we've got to talk about Munro's innings. 36 ball, 90. He from what I watched yesterday, he middled the ball more times than any other Quetta batsman could do. It was just like he was in his element. Yes, the bowling was bad, so we have to keep that in mind. But the clearing the boundary ratio was just amazing. It's not something Pakistani fans have seen from one of our own batsmen for a long time, long time. And obviously, you mentioned before that we're relying on these international players, but the gap between the international player, the quality of the international batsmen and our batsmen, it's just too much, isn't it? Like Munro proved yesterday that this was an easy thing to do, and Usman Khawaja, yes, he played his part, but he's not Pakistani. None of these batsmen are Pakistani. None of the Pakistani batsmen are actually making a contribution in the PSL.
यार मैं ये पहले भी कह चुका हूँ, मैं फिर से भी कह देता हूँ, आज आतिफ नहीं है, वो थोड़ा सा disagree करता है मेरे साथ जब मैं ये वाली लाइन लेता हूँ, लेकिन I firmly believe in it and I'm here to give you my honest opinion. Pakistani players see the PSL, and especially in a year where there's a World Cup, as being something that's, a really, really big occasion. And they take that weight of expectation for themselves because they want to go to the World Cup, they want to play in the PSL, they want to be household. They take it onto the ground. So the point that you're making about the international players coming and hitting more cleanly and, they're non-Pakistan, I think that works in their favor because they're here for a payday, they're here to play cricket, they can play ball on bat, they can just execute their skills, they don't have the pressure, they're not worried about मीडिया क्या कहेगी हमारे बारे में या पाकिस्तानी फैंस का क्या रिएक्शन होगा, क्या हमें वर्ल्ड कप में पाकिस्तान सिलेक्ट करेगा. They don't have to worry about that, right? Some of these players are no longer even playing international cricket for their teams necessarily. Those that are already guaranteed more or less to be going to the World Cup, so they can play what I would call tension-free cricket. हमारे जो players हैं ना, it's like यार bowling करेंगे तो पिटे नहीं, batting करेंगे तो यार out ना हो, और जब आप ये सब लेके जाते हो ना, तो फिर मैच तो गया, I was just going to say मैच की ऐसी की तैसी हो जाती है. And I feel like there's a bit of a khichdi going on because people are playing for their image, for their sponsorship, for their place in the team, maybe for their campaign, to be in the good books of this select or whatever. यार मैं frankly बात बता रहा हूँ, हमारे पास शर्जील है, फखर है, आजम खान है, आसिफ अली है, हैदर अली है. I'm just giving you a few names. आप ये नहीं कह सकते कि we don't have the batsmen that can hit. Hafiz है, that we cannot, Babar of course and Rizwan is too, that we don't have batsmen that can hit as cleanly as Munro. Lekin, it's true. I watched it, you watched it, Pakistani fans watched it. जब मुनरो आके शुरू से करता है यार, एक कॉन्फिडेंस दिखती है बंदे में, एक वो दिखती है यार कि दिलेर की तरह खेल रहा है. This is a problem that we don't have. कि हमारा बैट्समैन जब मारता भी है ना, डर के और आउट नहीं हुआ, अब जाके मैं मारूंगा. Whereas these guys come in and they look like they're middling it from ball one. And that, I think, is a huge thing that Pakistani cricketers need to understand, that you just cannot take 3 overs to get yourself in T20 cricket. The game dynamics very rarely allow you. And I'm just going to go back. We look at what's going on in across the board in the Indian cricket team. Debutants aa rahe hain. The SKY आ गया या ये बच्चा आ गया, वो आ गया, debut पे आके छक्के मार रहे हैं. Rishabh Pant we've seen over the last 12 months. Devastating hitting. More or less from ball one when sort of needed. So I think the point that you're trying to make, if I'm not, correct me if I'm getting it wrong, is yes, Pakistani players do have the ability. That consistency is never there, and when an international player does it, it looks like they've got like all the confidence in the world. And even when our players are doing it, it really has to be like the last 2 overs. You never see them going from ball one in a T20 match. So I think there is a mental approach and a psychological issue, and that's largely based on this culture of dropping players and having camps and having superiority and hierarchy. And यार बहुत बड़ा नाम है, यार नाम वाम छोड़ो, क्रिकेट खेलो, वर्ल्ड कप जीतना है, मारो खुल के जैसे इंटरनेशनल प्लेयर्स करते हैं.
Yeah, I think you summed that up quite well. I think me and you are similar in thought here. I think you mentioned that the Pakistani batsmen have the talent but aren't consistent. I would go even further and say there's not enough of them with the talent. We're really scraping the barrel when it comes to getting our number 4 and 5 and 6, etc. Even in the PSL teams, like for example, if Tahar, Hassan, Talib, and Asif Ali are your 4, 5, and 6 in one of the franchise teams, so I don't consider them to be the best of batsmen at this moment in time. Anyway, when you were talking about the Indian, I actually thought you said that SRK had made a debut, and I was like, what? I missed SRK coming into bat for India. Are we talking about a movie or the Indian cricket team?
But I said, by the way, I could be wrong, but there is a Shah Rukh playing for them, isn't there now?
Is there?
I'm pretty sure I did see a Shah Rukh Khan in the IPL.
Yeah, as long as he doesn't celebrate like this, I'm okay.
I don't know.
Right. So we've all made predictions on the games that are coming up. So let's finish off with I think today's match was Peshawar Zalmi versus Quetta Gladiators. Armaan, who do you reckon is going to win?
Look, it's very, very hard to go against Peshawar, especially against Quetta. But I think the PSL needs to be lit up. I think Quetta need to try and hit top straps. I think Quetta really need to, turn up to this, party of cricket. So I'm going to say Quetta, but let's be very honest with you. The chances are very slim right now.
Yeah, I think I was going to go for Quetta, but after yesterday's performance, I had a bit of a reality check on actually how good they actually might be. So I'm going to go with Peshawar on this one. And we did another prediction from you, Armaan. We've all predicted the winner of PSL a few episodes ago, and you haven't done that yet. So who do you think is going to take the trophy?
Karachi, man, I'm sorry. I'm from Karachi. Babar plays for Karachi. Imad plays for Karachi. Amir plays for Karachi. Karachi. I can't go against my city.
I think you're the only one with Karachi. I'm not too sure. So thank you, Armaan. Thank you, everyone. Enjoyed Peshawar Zalmi versus Quetta Gladiators. We'll be back to review that. We have Anam and Atif to come in the episodes in the future. Thank you very much. Take care and goodbye.